What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 and either build them or fix them depending on how they rank. Now today we are finishing up our second week talking about fighters, and we're talking about the Banneret / the Purple Dragon Knight, whichever one you like more. They're technically the same thing. On Tuesday we did our ranking, and now we are having to fix it because it didn't do so well. So let's see what changes I have in mind for today. But before we do that, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch the channel are not subscribed, so please don't be one of those people. Help us to reach our goal of 2,000 by the end of this year. I think we can do it, but I need your help. Then of course, click that bell so you're notified when new videos are uploaded, and share the video with your friends. If you haven't seen Tuesday's video, of course, it's up in the icon above right there. Make sure you watch that first, where we absolutely talk so much trash about this subclass. It's not good. There are so many things wrong with it. It's just mechanically very unsatisfying. And really, I mean, story-wise, it's very niche, I guess, to its location, and that's why it really even has two names, is because it's only called Purple Dragon Knight in certain places, and so you run into these weird things. So I wanted to clean this up mechanically, and then that way you can do this wherever you want and play this option however you want to play it in whatever campaign setting. So I will have the document right here on the side of the screen, and that way you all can follow along with what I am looking at, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let's jump on in. So when I do these fixes like this, a lot of times I try to maintain as much of the original subclass as possible. In a lot of my other fixing videos, I'll throw one up in the icon above for you, I have taken them and I've completely torn them down and rebuilt them from the ground up, like what I did with my Battle Rager. And there are others where I have just taken and made very small changes that really make a big impact. This fix is somewhere in between. I have taken basically every feature has returned in a new way. Everything has been reworded, and there is an additional feature as well that has been added in order to make this a little bit more appealing. So hopefully you all will enjoy what I've come up with today. So what is that? Let's take a look. At 3rd level, we get Rallying Cry. This is the same as before. And so with this, we get to use our Second Wind feature. And when we do that, we can choose a number of creatures. Now it is up to our proficiency bonus, which will eventually be better than what the feature originally gave us. And we still choose 60 feet from us, and each one gains hit points equal to your fighter level plus your charisma modifier. I talked about on Tuesday's video how it was weird how we had this kind of strange focus on charisma for only the Royal Envoy feature, and then the rest of it had nothing to do with our charisma modifier. So, I mean, if we're going to be the charismatic fighter, let's actually lean into having a decent charisma, right? So I wanted to have our charisma be tied to how well we do in this. You're not going to see anything like Hexblade where I'm using charisma for stuff like that. I'm not going that crazy with this, but I did want our charisma modifier to be more impactful than what it was in the original subclass. So I think this is a good change. You eventually will be able to use this on more creatures than you were before, and you've got a very small buff of your charisma modifier to the hit points that you are healing. Does this make this a busted feature? Absolutely not. In fact, I really wanted to go farther with it, but I don't think that I should. I think that I'm good with it being right here, even though I still think it is a little underpowered. Next up, also at level 3, we have Royal Envoy. And so if you remember from Tuesday, this was originally the level 7 feature. However, to me, when I look at most subclasses, a lot of them have a in combat and an out of combat feature that you get right away, or at least an in combat and a ribbon feature. This is kind of what Royal Envoy was, and so waiting until level 7 to get something like this didn't make a whole lot of sense in my mind. So we have pulled this down to level 3, and I think that's really where this thing belongs, to be honest. I think it makes way more sense. So at 3rd level, we gain proficiency in one of the following skills: Animal Handling, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Performance, or Persuasion. Notice you are no longer locked into Persuasion. because this has to do with handling yourself with grace, right? It says so in the description. You can be a graceful liar. It does not mean that you are always telling the truth. You can just have grace while you're just bold-faced lying to people. I think that deception should be on this list. Now, you should have the option to choose persuasion should you want it, but you don't have to. And so I want to make sure that we are giving as many options to players as possible. And so with this, your proficiency bonus is doubled with any ability check you make. It's basically just expertise, but it doesn't even have to be the skill that you took with this feature. If you already had persuasion and then you take, say, deception with this feature, you can still take your proficiency bonus double in persuasion just because you already had it. So that's totally fine. Again, I want to give options. Then I went one step further, and I think this is just fun. It's a lot more of a ribbon feature, but basically we can now cast Gift of Gab once per day. Gift of Gab is just a fun spell for when you mess up and you say something you shouldn't have said, you can fix it, right? And so we can cast Gift of Gab once per day without using a spell slot or material components. And then of course, if you do have spell slots from another class, then you of course can use those to cast it again with the material components. I think that makes so much sense on this. Again, you are here to be graceful. And should you have a moment of slipping up, this allows you to catch yourself. But I don't think it's in a really OP way. I mean, it's only 6 seconds worth of stuff. It's just a reaction to do it. I think this is just fun, and it's just going to lead to a bunch of really cool situations. Again, this is really a ribbon feature, but I mean, it's still a lot of fun. At level 7, we get something new, and I'm calling it Commanding Presence. This is kind of strong because I don't think our level 3 features were all that great. So I went a little further with this one. And I think it's still balanced, but it might be a little much. Here is what I've come up with. We now get a free casting of Crusader's Mantle during the day. Now, yes, we are getting access to this earlier than Paladins would. I'm fully aware of this, but I don't care because I think it's still fun. There are plenty of clerics that get access to the Paladin spells early. There are plenty of other spellcasters that get access to certain spells earlier than the Paladin does. And so I think this is fine. We're only getting one spell out of this, but it is buffed. And so here is the way that it is buffed. We do not need to concentrate on this spell. If you're going to be up in the fray and be a damage dealer that is using your strength modifier, you're up in people's faces, you do not want to worry about dropping this feature that is a once per day type of thing. I think that would feel bad, and so I don't want to have to concentrate on this spell, and really, I don't think it's all that crazy, given the fact that we don't have access to any other spells, really, except for Gift of Gab, which has nothing to do with combat. We also have moved the radius out to 60 feet. This is to make it the same as all of your other features that you get with this subclass. Pretty much everything is locked at 60 feet. And so I wanted this to be the same. And the damage type has been changed to Force from Radiant. Radiant, of course, has to do with the fact that Crusader's Mantle has to do with a holy type of thing. That's not necessarily what this is. And so Force can change that to be more effective. Now, I thought about making this a bonus action. I think that might be a little too much. Let me know in the comments below, but I think bonus action might be a little much. I think still leave it as an action. It lasts for a minute. You're not going to drop it because of concentration. And then, of course, if you do have spell slots, then you can cast that again. My thing is, I don't think that anyone is going to go 7 levels in this just to get this spell. I think that is way too far of a dip. Now, obviously, you're getting things like Action Surge. You're getting the Rallying Cry and the Royal Envoy along the way. So yes, a Paladin may want to come this route. But I mean, come on. Paladins probably do not want to put off 7 levels of their progression, especially when you've got things like Improved Divine Smite at 11. I mean, that puts you at level 18 to have this and Improved Divine Smite. I mean, I don't think that's worth it to me. And so I think 7 is too much to be considered just a casual multi-class. So I think it's okay to have something that's a little bit stronger. Let me know if you think that this is not enough. I mean, it's only a D4, but it is on everything within 60 feet of you for a minute. So, I mean, that's a lot of damage over time. That adds up pretty quickly. So let me know what you think. I'd love to know. At level 10, we get Inspiring Surge. This is the same as before, but we have worded it differently. So whenever you use your action surge, you can choose a number of creatures equal to half your proficiency bonus rounded down. So right now that is 2, and that will eventually go up to 3. Within 60 feet of you that are allied with you, the creatures that you choose, whether it is 1 or 2 of them or 3 of them, can make 1 melee or ranged weapon attack with their reaction, provided that they can see or hear you. This is nice, right? Obviously, the Order Cleric can do something similar to this, and so I wanted to make sure that this is distinct enough in its own way, and I think that this is a way to do it. You will eventually have access to doing this 3 times in one go, which is pretty great. Obviously, you could take 10 levels in this and then go somewhere else because it's based on your proficiency bonus, should you go to really high level. But I mean, I don't think that that's really all that crazy. I mean, if nothing else, we're getting the buff now anyway to 2, which is still ahead of the 1 that we had now and 2 at 18th level. So it's still a buff to this feature overall. And I think that it's still worth using this. I think it's still worth taking this. I think that just adding an extra creature on here can really make a decent difference. And so I like this change. I think it's pretty good. Finally, at level 15, we get Bulwark. And Bulwark was changed a decent amount. It's still the same in concept, but it has been massively buffed. So before, you could use your Indomitable feature if you and an ally were subjected to something that forced an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma saving throw. So that was very limiting. So we've taken basically all of the limits away. So here's what it is. Up to 2 creatures, when they are targeted with an effect that forces a saving throw, doesn't matter what kind of saving throw. It can be a dex save, it can be an intelligence save, it can be a con save, it can be any of that, which means this has to do with concentration. I'm fully aware that this allows people to reroll concentration checks, but it is what it is. You can expend a use of your Indomitable feature to allow them to reroll the saving throw. The thing is, it's limited in its use. You only have so many uses of Indomitable, and this is you choosing to not use it on yourself, or it's you choosing to use it on yourself and an ally. You choose 2 creatures that can see or hear you within 60 feet of you. Obviously, you are within 60 feet of you, and so you can use that on yourself, or you can use it on 2 allies. Doesn't matter if you were targeted or not. And that was kind of the big thing, is that a lot of features that would target your wisdom or not intelligence, because you're never going to see that, and charisma, really the ones that are targeting that are most of the time not going to be multi-target unless they are some like twinned or something special like that. This allows you to be helpful no matter what. And I think that this is the way to go with this feature. I think this is just a really, really nice way to buff this. If 2 things are in a fireball, this works. If something has to make a concentration check on a spell, this works. Obviously, you're using a very valuable and limited resource to do this, but it allows you to do that, and this can really turn the tide of the battle, and that's why I think it's worth waiting until level 15. So what do you think of the new version I've come up with of the Purple Dragon Knight? I think this is way better than it was before. I don't think that it's the best fighter in the game. I don't think that I went crazy far with it, but I do think that this is far more viable than it was before. Maybe you think it's still useless. Maybe you think that this is better than the best. Let me know. I'd love to know down in the comments below. Of course, this has not been playtested, but I would love to hear about someone who's playtesting it out in the real world, because that would be absolutely fantastic. And so next week, we are going to be talking about the Battlemaster fighter, one of the most popular out there. And so we're going to have to see what all the buzz is about. So until next time, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.